Alright guys, so I just thought I'd record for you to see what a bite looks like, and that basically is what a bite looks like, and it looks like we have another one on.
Ja, Frank, die groter een, er is 'n moerse ding.
Whoa, that's a big fish! Yeah! Wow! Everyone, so it's Mayu from Mayu's Catch here, and I'm gonna try to shoot an episode from the ocean. You will know that I've shot all my episodes freshwater up until this point, but I'm trying to shoot an episode from the ocean for the first time. This is the beautiful coastal city of Swakopmund, and if you remember from my intro, I introduced Swakopmund and I said that this is one of the most beautiful coastlines you will ever see, where the desert meets the ocean. So we're not exactly where the dunes meet the ocean, but we're still at the Namib Desert, because the Namib Desert stretches the entire coastline of Namibia. This is one of the most beautiful places you will ever see. If you have never visited Namibia before, trust me, this is something you want to see. And if you're a fishing enthusiast like myself, this is also an amazing fishing location. However, fishing at the ocean is not the same as freshwater fishing. As you can see, the fish can be anywhere. And if you're not where the fish are, you will just spend your whole life trying to catch fish and you will never catch fish. Fishing at the ocean is actually quite tricky, but it's also very rewarding, because if you can catch a fish out of here, then you can catch a fish anywhere. Now, the Namibian coastline is blessed with a variety of fish. There's the steenbras, there's the Kabeljou, known as the cob, there's the galjoen, there's the blacktail, there's also catfish here, although they don't grow as big as you know them in freshwater, but they are also here. And then we have a variety of sharks as well. Obviously, the baits are a bit different for the different fish. For galjoen, you would generally go for your white mussels, and for Kabeljou, you would do your pilchards, although the Kabeljou also eat white mussels as well. And then for the steenbras, they also eat white mussels and some pilchards here and there, and the catfish will bite anything. White mussels, black mussels, pilchards. So sometimes they're actually quite annoying, because you're trying to catch Kabeljou, or you're trying to catch galjoen, or you're trying to catch steenbras and you're catching catfish. You also have other baits like squid, red baits. Some of them are quite stinky, so if you know red bait, you will know red bait is quite stinky. Unlike freshwater fishing, you have to move around. So you cannot stick at one place and think that you will catch fish there. The fish can literally be anywhere. So you stop at one location, you try to catch fish there. If you're lucky, the fish are there. If they're not, you need to move on. So I've just arrived at my spot. As you can see, the spot actually has quite a few people around. and that usually is a sign that the fish are biting. I was actually at this same spot yesterday and I caught some good fish, but what evidence do I have if I didn't get it on camera? So I'm going to try and catch today's fish on camera. So wish me luck. And by the way, check out the new gear. This is Mayu's Catch. I've got new gear. I'm trying to promote the channel. I'm just gonna get my stuff together, put my rod in the water and see what happens. Yesterday I caught fish with white mussels and with pilchards. So today I'll do the same strategy. I'll put white mussels on the bottom hook and I'll put pilchards on the top hook. The water is looking absolutely amazing. Look at that. It was high tide some hours ago, so it's heading into low tide now, but I'm hoping that the fish are still biting. I'm a little bit late arriving here, but let's see. Let's hope I do get some bites. I'll get my gear in the water and we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, guys. All right, guys, so just after our first cast, and we seem to have a pool here. We seem to have a pool, so there seems to be something on the other end of this line. Oh, okay, but now it seems like I'm stuck. Oh gosh, it seems like I'm stuck and it feels like I might be loose. Let's see, hopefully the fish is still on, but we did have a bite, but let's see what it could be. If the fish is still on, let's hope the fish is still on. The line is getting closer and it looks like there is movement on that line, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but there is a fish on here. There is a fish on here. What is it? And it looks like a catfish, a decent looking catfish right there, guys. And it took the pilchards. Initially I had said I would have the pilchards on the top hook and the mussel on the bottom hook, but I swapped them around, and either way it has brought in this nice catfish. So that's fish number one, guys. All right, so I just thought I'd show the fish a little bit. So there's a nice catfish. The catfish at the ocean, they don't get anywhere close to the size of catfish in freshwater. So this is actually maybe about half the size you would get of a big one. So a big one might just be twice this size. They really don't get that big around here. And anyway, so you can see there, that's the pilchard that is on the hook. And there's the mussel that is on the top hook. And there's the fish. Now, there's something to know about this fish, right? They have 3 spines. Those 3 spines are quite sharp. So taking the fish off the hook is actually a tricky activity to do. All right, guys, seems like we're having action this morning. Looks like we have another fish on. And this is my second cast. So, yeah, it looks like there's activity happening today. Probably catfish. Usually catfish tend to be like the pests of the ocean. So when you're trying to target Kabeljou or trying to target steenbras or trying to target Kabeljou, you tend to catch lots of catfish. But feels like there's a fish here. It's about to emerge. Let's see. And what do we have? We have a Kabeljou. This is a Kabeljou. Looks a little bit undersized, but it shows that there's activity here. There's lots of fish. So yeah. But yeah, I'll give this one a measure, see if it's size, and then we'll either keep it or throw it back in. All right, guys, the fishing is good. Awesome. All right, guys, so I just thought I'd record for you to see what a bite looks like, and that basically is what a bite looks like. And it looks like we have another one on. I hope it's still on. So that was the ticking of the rod when a fish bites. Let's see if we can bring it in. Sometimes it's tricky with the waves, whether the wave is washing back or whether it's washing forward, but it does feel like we have a nice strong fish on here, and hopefully we can bring it out to shore. Fighting like a Kabeljou, if I must say. The line is getting closer. Let's see what kind of fish we have here, but we do have a fish on, that's for sure. But let's see what kind of fish it is. And it looks like it's a nice Kabeljou from what I can see from here. I just need that wave to wash it in. That wave, I need that wave to wash it in. And it's a lovely Kabeljou. probably another slightly, these are almost just about size. I'll have to measure it again and see, but it looks like we have quite a bit of activity going on and Kabeljou of this size around. So yeah, wow. But anyway, that's what a bite looks like, and you saw the bite on camera. We're having a good day of fishing today. Happiness. All right guys, so it feels like we have a third fish on here. It's like a fisher cast, eh? So this was my third cast, and once again it feels like we have a decent fish on. It's pulling nicely. I think it's coming in right now with the waves, so there will be a backwash at some point that I will have to fight against, but it feels like we have a nice fish on here. For you to see what the rod is doing, that's what the rod is doing. But it feels like we have a nice fish on here. The line is getting closer, and I can see the line moving around, which means that there's definitely a fish on here. Okay, hopefully the hook is nicely set also in the mouth, and there's a small, oh, that's a sand shark and a catfish on together. That's a sand shark and a catfish on together. Man, these are the things that really tend to frustrate fishermen, because now you're trying to catch a kabeljou and you catch a sand shark and then a little catfish. So the little catfish is definitely going back in. This is also definitely going back in. I have no use for that. So yeah, so let me get them off the hook and cast again. All right guys, so this is the next cast. It does feel like there is a fish on, but it feels like a small one. Feels like a small annoying fish, because it just keeps ticking the rod, and of course what we are looking for is bigger fish, but it seems I just have to bring it in, see what it is, and hope it was just a big fish with a very lazy attitude and just didn't want to fight. But anyway, I'm bringing it in and we'll see what it is. Yeah, I can see there is a fish on. It does look like a small catfish, if I would say. And like I said, these catfish tend to be the annoying fish, eh? Because you are hoping for bigger fish, bigger carp and stuff like that, and you just keep catching this small catfish. And look at that. Exactly what I had said. A very small, annoying catfish. And it took all the attention from my bait. But yeah. So again, this is another one of those take off and throwbacks. And leave the bait for the big fish, please. I mean, the strategy could be to change the size of the hook and hope for a bigger fish. But you can see the mouth of a catfish is quite big, so even a small catfish has a big mouth. And it just takes the bait too. Look at that. I mean, it's crazy that such a small fish took this bait. Alright guys, I'm hoping we have a big fish on here. It was quite a big pool, but maybe I'm bringing it in too soon. I don't know, but we'll see. Is the line moving? It seems to be moving, but perhaps not a big fish. Oh, it's a small fish on a big hook, but a fish nonetheless. Alright guys, so I just cast this rod, and it was taken almost immediately. It hit the water. So generally carp are what tend to do that. So I'm hoping there's a carp on the end of this line. It feels like the fish is still on. The line is moving in the water. The fish is still on. I had what I thought was a bite earlier, and there was no fish on. So it will be good to bring this one out. And it looks like what is a nice carp actually. It's a nice carp. Nice carp. Definitely a nice size carp. And on the muscle, as you can see. So that's a nice fish. I have my two rods. What I'm doing is I alternate my casts. So when one is in the water, the other is out. When one is out, the other is in. And this is a nice cob here. Nice cob. This one will be eaten by me. Yeah, boy. Alright guys, so it seems like we have found ourselves in some activity. The fish are biting, it seems like. People around me are catching fish, and this bait had basically just hit the water, and it seemed like it got a bite immediately. Now I had one just very similar to that, just my previous cast, but the fish came off. So I'm hoping that this fish is still on. I'm not quite sure it is. And there, it's a cob. So guys, it feels like we have another fish on. I think it's a Kabeljou, because Kabeljou have been the ones biting of late. A big shout out to a family. Seemed like they may have been from South Africa. I think the plate number on the car said GP, so I think they may have been from South Africa. A big shout out to them. They actually saw me struggling with a seagull. A seagull flew into my line, and they saw me struggling with it, and they stopped to help me out. So a big shout out to them. Thank you so much for your help, and I really appreciate your help. And there's a cup. Alright guys, so this is a catfish that I just got. I missed getting it on camera. The reason I'm taking this video is so that I can show you how to take off the hook. Remember I told you about those little spines that are very sharp on these fish? So I'm taking this video just to show you how to take them off the hook. This is a good size one, so I will keep this one for sure. But anyway, so usually I just put my hand from the belly side and I open those spines up. And you see one spine on this side, the other spine in between my index and my middle finger, and the other one cannot get me regardless of what it does. So this way you can take the fish off the hook much safer. It will still be squirming around obviously, but this way you can now take the fish, the hook out of the mouth. And there you go. There you go. It's out nicely and the fish is off the hook. Alright guys, so we are at the end of the day. And wow, what a day it was. Anyone who fishes at the ocean knows that the ocean is not an easy place to fish. They say there's plenty of fish in the sea, but sometimes when you're here, you're wondering, where are those fish? But we are happy to say that we were able to catch some fish today, and you did manage to see some of them on camera. Some of them were undersized, some of them were nice size. There was Kabeljou, or known as the cob. There was catfish, also known in Southern Africa as the Barbel. And then you saw the sand shark, and we ended the day with a nice blacktail. But before I show you that blacktail, take a look at this. This right there is the Namibian sunset. There are not so many sunsets that beat this one. Look at that. So we caught 11 fish in total. Some of them were not sized, so they had to go back in the water. So this was the last fish of the day. It was a lovely blacktail. Also a nice legal size. So this will be going home with me, and I'll make a nice meal of this. But anyway guys, thank you so much for joining Mayu's Catch. I hope you enjoyed this episode from the coast. And please remember to continue to like, subscribe and share. And I will try my best to keep the content flowing, fresh water, salt water. You probably can see that my shirt is not as white as it was when we started. But anyway, that's a sign of a busy and successful day. So anyway guys, remember, keep catching them fish, keep them lines tight, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers everyone.